licensing, and we put everything on. For those of you physicians in EU, we have a certificate as an alternative medicine in Belgium, which applies to most of the Europe automatically. So we can give you the certificate that these systems can be used. We teach you how to use it for your patients. We come to a very important point, and then we start a blueprint day. I have received a number of calls, and I see a lot of communications across the internet and to me directly. Please do not promote people to move because of the earthquake in or around the world. It's my responsibility to do as I see, because those of you who call me because you talk about it'll happen, it shows you have not even understood the work of the physicality of the plasma of the earth, and you stand responsible for the souls of those who you will cause the death of. Those of you who don't understand and go and say you are talking about it and it's happening, it means you haven't even understood. Volcanic eruptions, earthquake has happened for millions of years, the way this planet works, but we see a huge one on a scientific basis to happen, to take place, and it's our job to do, to save lives. And those of you who write to us that I'm going to go public, that you're a fake and the rest because you don't stop promoting, it means any death caused because of any of the volcanic eruptions and the earthquakes which is pending, you are responsible for the soul of the people you have murdered. So we finish with this discussion and we carry on with the way it should be, and it has to be done. It's the responsibility of us as scientists, which understand the work of the, not only the planet, but structure of the pressure on this planet. One, because of the motion of the magma underneath. Secondly, because of the change of the season and the pressure on the southern hemisphere at this time. And thirdly, because of the approach of the, what we call the second star, which is a twin star of the Earth, which creates certain pressures of its own, which increases the pressure at this time on the southern hemisphere. And fourthly, because of the position of our solar system with its twin sister in the funnel of the wings of the galaxy, there is a possibility, not tomorrow, next week, not maybe the next few months, but in the next couple of months or next year or so, the pressures will crack or separate the thin layer of the continent of South America away at the point of Panama and floating on the magma. This is the reality. So those of say we've taken it out and it will not happen, we are from the center of the earth, please sir, if you are from the center of the earth and what you call the enlightened or the lightened one, whatever, please tell us what's happening inside in the center, and plus tell us how you are going to stop this. They call themselves the light workers. You are the darker forces ever existed because you don't work for the benefit of humanity. If you see a child running under a car, do you stand there and say the light will move you, or you move to move the child that the child doesn't get hurt? Human race is the child of the Creator and they'll be protected. So you can talk whatever you like, but those of you who come with these lines of whatever you are and you're going to expose, we fed you, we taught you, and now because you taught a few things, now you thought you know everything. It shows the lack of understanding and shallowness of the depth of intellect. So please move from California, from west coast of United States continent. My warning cannot be any stronger. We have seen it, now the pattern is getting stronger, and there is a huge possibility of, in a coming time, of movement of the continental plate, because everything is ready for it. And once that goes, and the pressure from on the southern hemisphere due to upcoming after 21st of February till around 20th, 18th of April is the switch time. If we see the approach of the second sun, which will put pressure on the southern hemisphere, is like a piece of metal. You keep on twisting it till at its weakest point is separate. We are in that position. Understand the physiology of it. The earth pressure on the southern hemisphere pushes now on the southern continent, which sits on the American continent. The magma is working anti-clockwise, so it's pulling it towards the African and Southern European section. That's why we said you will see earthquake in Southern Europe and in Northern Africa. We've seen it in Gibraltar, we've seen it in Argentina. It's following the same pattern. It's a combined forces which is creating this. I would like the people, the enlightened, the what they call the light workers, please go underneath of this surface and hold it back if you can stand the heat of the magma. Wishes does not change the reality of the work of the nature. You stand in front of the fire in the bush and just blow at it and wish that it'll go away. You get burned in it if the blow is in your direction. And those of you who say we created and it can be done, you moved it, please go back to 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, when man had no understanding of the science and sacrificed a virgin girl that the earthquake will stop. This is what was the tradition. We are going back to that dimension again with these people. Because they thought the virgin body will stop the earthquake. And now we know, we laugh at it, the same thing is coming up again. So please move. Move in the orderly manner out of the west of American continent. Central continent will get pressurized through the same, and consequently the pressure will go into the north, and consequently it will come down in a lot of places. It just happened to be our time. The way it happened with the time of dinosaurs when the meteorite came, when the second star approached Earth and pushed all the meteorite towards the center. Now we are in the same position. And in a way, why American continent is in that position, look and see the structure. Look and then you understand why. There is a weak point, it's come to the point of, it's like a chewing gum, when you pull it and then at the weak point, it just snaps. The weak point between the two continents which can take the pressure is as Panama Point. And this is what we see it, and this is what we have, and we have discussed to be. The position is relevant, and the backlash of these things will show itself in Philippines and other parts of the world in what we call the East Asia. How far and how fast it'll go, we don't know. The two things which has happened in past 20 hours, 24 hours, that's 2 days, 3 days. We have seen what is being the eruption or the beginning of the earthquake, which is opening up to a volcanic area within the California. And these, whenever happen, some of them have been dormant for 15,000 years. When this happens, always has followed with a heavy shift of the continental plates. And this is time when the southern continent splits, the shift will come, the powers will be much more powerful. Whenever Earth, what we call the volcanic eruptions, has happened in this part, according to the scientific data, within days and weeks, we have seen huge earthquakes in this level of the ocean level. And this has happened in past 24 hours. This is a clear warning. Go on the internet and look at the double volcanic earthquakes and the one before in the same area. Whenever it has happened at this level, the continent has started moving. It's where the magma can open up to release the pressure that the place can move. It's like a pressure cooker. Now it's opening up. So please assess yourself and consider yourself in which part of the world you are in danger or can be possibility of the danger. As you know, as I've said in the talk of Tuesday, and I especially mentioned it today, your government, His Excellency President Obama, for American nation, has put in order, after our talk in the 2nd of February, an executive order for the earthquake committee or group that will start looking at the earthquakes. This committee has to start acting. You don't have much time. This is very clear warning. This is the last time we make such a warning. It's the responsibility of governments to look after the people. It is responsibility of the Keshe Foundation members to be ready in the time of accident. We have seen what we were waiting for to take place, and it has taken place. Now the clock is ticking. Those of us who accuse us of scaring, you have to live with yourself. Why did I do this? When the warning came and I did not let people see, but I changed the mind of one person to move because I thought I know. In fact, you are responsible for those who you change their mind because of your ignorance, and then you're responsible for their souls. I stand clear with my soul and what I know and what I'm here for. My responsibility as a scientist, as who I am, is to protect the children of the man. And we see problem. We are very clear about it. We don't care what people say just because they ate from our cup and they poisoned their own cup with it. My warning goes very clearly. Please start moving out of the west coast of United States, Chile, North Canada. We see waves up to 200 to 300 meter high in the long distance ships. I cannot be any clearer, and after today I go silent with it because I finished in and I explained scientifically to you what is the reason. The movement, you might call it a disaster, you might call it volcanic eruption, you might call it whatever, is imminent. Next few days, next few weeks, next few months. All depends on the pressures, and if all the pressures coincidentally come together, it'll be a huge catastrophe. We are safe in the city of Dubai. I am safe. I should not care about whatever happened to the humanity and the rest of it, but I do care. It's my responsibility. It's under my time, my watch. All of your light workers, please get on the ground and lift the earth just about 22 centimeters, that it doesn't snap with the pressures of the change of the season, and then we see if you are light workers. You are light liars, and you have found yourself a name to be working with. So I'm very clear, and it's the last warning we give you. I hope in the next sessions you still be with us, and in the sessions to come. And if you are not, and if anything happens, the Keshe Foundation is there to support you. The disaster of the movement of the two continents is imminent. Now, we go on how we can feed ourselves and look after ourselves in different dimensions in the space. Do not write to me and ask when it's going to happen, you are this, you are that. We made our point, we will not discuss it till the summertime. But make sure you understand the physiology of it, keep your eyes on it, because when it comes very, very rapidly. Because now the continental pressure on the southern core will push the American continent once it goes loose down, and all the volcanoes will pop like nothing. You can see the executive order on the 2nd of December when we made the original warning. The warning is absolutely in a critical point. And we've seen other scientists after our announcements are coming up with more proof of different places that can happen. And even the White House is not safe. Now, we go to the blueprint. Before we go, if there are any questions, because when we go in the blueprint, we will not come out of it till the end of the session today. Are there any other questions you want me to answer before I start?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, I'm from the Midwest in the United States, and I wanted to try to talk to people about getting out of California, but it's Midwest. They said there's a fault line or something that may also hit the Midwest. I hadn't heard much about that. I just wondered.
This is a report by the American scientists on the back of the presidential executive order that they are trying to assess and what they see in different parts of the United States and different part of the world, what might happen. We have seen increase in volcanic activities on the coastline of the west of the United States continent, and on the other end, which takes the pressure. We predict earthquakes in Tehran on Damavand zone as well, because it's a connection underneath which pushes it up. And it's due to, with this pressure is so high that Damavand can go, and we see the earthquakes in Tehran too simultaneous or around the same time, depends what the pressure is. You got to understand, if the southern continent, American continent, goes down by another 5 centimeters, if it drops in the motion, it doesn't drop because it's free. It tries to find its own balance. Up to now, the northern continent and the Pangaea has kept it floating. It's like you're on a what do you call it, jet ski, and with a rope to a man who's skiing. That rope has been the point of the continental position in Panama. And now, with that opening up, is on its own. Now he has to find his own balance. It's like when you drop a ball in the water in the pool, it goes up and down to find its balance. If its weight releases pressure more than it is on the continental magma, then we see the popping up like nothing. All the volcanic layers will pop up like popcorn, because it's the law of physics. When you drop something on a liquid, it has to create its buoyancy where it's going to stand, and it creates waves. And those waves will pop a lot of volcanoes. That's why we see a lot of volcanic activities at the moment. Because at the point of Panama, the continent is made loose. The Chilean earthquake we saw a few months ago, when we announced it, the huge one, has shown the release of it. It was just like a pin holding it. Now the continent becomes free. It has to find over the next decade its balance, its buoyancy. And as it goes up and down in the next 20 years to find, will start popping. When it goes lower, it pops all the volcanic situations which have not worked for years. This is how it works. People, when this happens, we have two choices. If the continental plate is within the water, what happened in Fukushima, we see a huge tsunami hitting. If we see another one like what happened in Jakarta in 2005, we see the same. There is a possibility that the earthquake and volcanic eruptions and movement of this continents comes together because one triggers the other, then we do not know. We put the estimate in the region of anything up to 200 to 300 million. I see every day, I monitor the movement on a daily basis. And this is I don't predict anymore. I tell you what is going to happen. It's not a prediction anymore. We have finished with prediction. The movement will happen. It depends if the pressure from our twin star adds its force on the southern continent of America, then we'll have a deeper pressure. We add another 10 or 15 centimeters of depression into the magma, and Earth and this planet is a contained matter for its plasma. Well, you've done the physics. When you approach something somewhere, it has to come up in the liquid somewhere else. And the liquid magma will come through the volcanic eruptions. We even see now in past 48 hours, with a movement, Etna might go up to. Very possibility, high possibility.
Mr. Keshe, there's a question from Thomas Hedrick, who would like to ask you about this second star. Would that be okay to ask that question now?
Yes. It's our twin star, it's not the second star. I explained that. Please go back today and listen to Camelot. I just about an hour ago or so, I gave an interview for a couple of hours to Kerry Cassidy on Camelot. I'll give another interview later on tonight, tomorrow, to Mike Harris. And then there is another one to emphasize. We are heavily loading the American section to understand. we are on a verge of a huge movement of continental plates. It happened to be our time. If we didn't have internet, if we didn't have the community, we still would have had it. If we all sit and pray on the ground and move all the fields to us and somewhere in the space, if we were so good, why don't we fly out if we are so good? So this is going to happen. This is eventuality of the separation of the continent.
Okay, Thomas, can you, I'll unmute your microphone, see if you can speak there. Hello?
Hi there, Mr. Keshe. This is Thomas
Yes.
from Vienna.
Yes.
About this sometimes you referred about this as a second star or second sun or something. Is this the same object or planet are you referring to?
Yes.
So is
it's
it
approaching, and it creates pressure on the platform of the continent, on the southern. Actually, if you understand, you should be able to predict the direction of the incoming second sun.
because I had two, let's say I had one vision one day when I was walking at the fields and I saw a black star next to the sun on the left side. It wasn't as big as the sun, but it was black, not really black. The light was bending around it. So this was the first thing I wanted to tell. And the second one is I was researching the history of Babylon and the Sumerian gods and made really big drawings on my whiteboard. And Nibiru itself, it's just a star constellation of the star of Ea and Enlil. And I didn't get it yet completely, but there is something written in this text, which is like a pronouncement. And it's written that this star will take the middle between Mars and Jupiter. Maybe I'm not sure about all the planets exactly, but there's something up to this. So maybe you have more information or can share your thoughts on this.
You see, the way we see it, the approach of the second sun. Let me explain the people who understand the reality of the second sun. Our sun, our solar system, it just didn't appear out of nowhere in this galaxy. The usual process is the same in a small and a bigger dimension. So what has happened? The way you get a neutron, which splits into a smaller and a bigger part, becomes electron and proton, but it keeps its integrity, that they are still separately working for themselves, but they rotate around each other to keep each other in balance. The same thing has happened to our solar system. Our solar system is electron or a proton of the same division of a bigger star somewhere in the past. It doesn't create it on its own out of nowhere. And it has, the way it has lasted so many billions of years as we see it, is because it's got a twin star which absorbs all its energy, which it releases into its atmosphere, and it absorbs what energy that twin star sends, exactly like electron proton. Finding single individual entities in the universe is very rare, and we are not one of them, because we are in part of a galaxy system, and the galaxy means collection. So we have a twin sister, or we have twin with something else. This twin star of ours approaches like NP, the way in the electronic system we call it the bandwidth of the electron. So it moves within that bandwidth and rotates around each other. This takes something like 26 million years sometimes, this rotation, that they come very close. And every time, this, I explained this morning, every time it comes close, they put pressure on each other. And now, what we see, and the way I see that the American South Continent is moving, it gives me a very clear indication. The star is sitting in respect to where the South American continent moves or facing, and we can roughly predict the approach line of the second star through this division. Because it's moving, it's pressurizing so much, it's snapping. Most of the separations of like Australia and the rest has happened this way. With the movement of, you have a floating magma and you have a piece which is connected with the littlest piece. Every piece which is cut open like this has been hit by the meteorite or whatever, which is isolated, and then the isolation has allowed it to be separated by the movement of the magma. and the pressures of the magnetic field. It's just like you get a piece of paper and you keep on twisting it, or get a piece of metal, you keep on twisting it up and down till it snaps. This is what's going to happen to the continent at this point. And this is what we see is the coincidentally a lot of things are coming to be at the same time. So not only by looking at this southern continental movement, we most probably can see if it happens radically where the second sun is coming from. We got to look where the earth in that position has been and which way the pressure is coming. So if you look, I can go on my camera, I can share a camera. We got a camera understanding. I'll show you exactly what is about to happen. And then you will most probably, can you allow me to share a camera? Because I don't need much. I cannot open my camera, Rick.
You should be able to, Mr. Keshe. It's allowed in the system.
Okay. You need to share. Okay. Let me show you what it is. This is what's going to happen in the continent. The pressure comes, and at the moment we are sitting on the magma. The continent has been narrowed, if I can show it. So we are in this point. Now the pressure on the magma, all is going to do like this, and then separation. The pressure is coming from the continental side, on the southern continent. It does not show the beginning of it where I announced in the early, before autumn, the pressure was on the northern hemisphere, which carries most of the Pange. The continent solid state could take it. But now with change of season, we are on the southern continent. This cannot take, and literally what we see is, for example, this is the pin where what we call the Panama Point. And now it's getting darkness, and now the pressure, and if the continental and the universal pressure on the second sun comes, it just snaps. What it does, the other end pushes down. With pushing down, pushes the magmas right across. And this is what we see, because the pressure is pushing new magmas to come out. So this side, the pressure is too high. It scientifically can be defined. We have no say in it. It's part of the process of our development of this planet. And this planet is a living thing, and it moves the way we do. And so we have this problem. Do not, under no circumstances, think because we thought about it, it came. Please, if it's the way of thinking and you're teaching our light workers, don't forget what they used to do, light workers. Virgin girls were sacrificed in hundreds to stop the disasters. I hope you're not in that region. Now it's a criminal offense. It's our responsibility to protect, and we work on it, and we explain it. And if you go on it, the volcanic section of the continental American continent is becoming active because the pressure is coming at the end of the Southern America, continental south. So it's pushing the rest up. Is very much, as I always explain, it's like a ball. You squeeze it, it has to show something somewhere. It comes out of somewhere else. It's a mass volume. The volume of it is fixed. You pressurize it, it has to show, it has to move. No way sitting and praying. Please sit down and pray. See if you can take the pressure, and then you will see how many lives you have to answer to. It's our responsibility. We take it seriously, and I again advise Your Excellency President Obama, you're a listener to this program, as we know. We welcome you as usual. Please make provisions for your nation. My call goes again to the state of Japan. The nation of Japan, with the backlash of the, what they call tsunami, will be wiped out. The biggest concern is the nuclear reactors, which is totally separate. In this teaching today, we try to teach you how to decontaminate radioactive, as we did on Tuesday. And after today, we'll try not to speak about it, because I hope we're still together next time. And I hope we'll be together for a long time. But it's our job to protect. And it's our job to explain. It's you who have to make the decision. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, I just wanted to share just one last story about the stuff I found out, if it's okay.
Yes.
All I could find in all of these books and all of these histories that it has happened many times in the past, and all religions, it's written in all these books. And about this, there are the Igigu who were working for the Anunnaki a long time ago, and it was, let's say, ordered by a goddess council of 50 people, the Anuna. But in the end, the Igigu rebelled or something against the Anuna, and they made another agreement so they can work and live with them side by side. So there are always this story where men, or they call it differently, but a part of them is God, that they grew up to this universal community and with them side by side with the creators or something. So the story ends good all the time. But there is the flood and there is this movement and all of these shifts coming, but in the end they get close to each other again.